All right, this is question number 12 of the unit review number 1, the one for extra practice. And we have 3x raised to the 3/4 power minus 6 equals 0. So anything raised to a fraction, you want to isolate the x. So what I'm going to do is add 6 to the other side. And now I'm going to divide both sides by 3. So I get x to the 3/4 equals 6 divided by 3, which is 2. Now, to get rid of that fraction, I have to raise x to its reciprocal. So 3/4, the reciprocal of that is 4 over 3. And that'll give me the value of 1, by the way. So I'll have x by itself. And what I do to one side, I have to do the other. So I have to take 2 raised to the 4/3 power. Now, my equation looks like this. X equals 2 raised to the 4/3 power. Now the denominator will tell you what root it is. So in this case, it is a cube root. You can write the 2 underneath the cube root, and we can raise this to the 4th power and see if that works. So if I do that, I get the cube root of 2 to the 4th. 2 to the 4th is 16. If I simplify this down, I will get 2 cube roots of 2. So that is my answer. All right, let's work on this next one. So number 13 has x raised to the 2/3 power, and then minus 3/4, which is a fraction, and it equals negative 1/2. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clear out those fractions by finding the least common denominator of 4. So I'm going to multiply everything, and I mean every single term, by 4. And it looks like this. 4 times x raised to the 2/3 minus 4 times 3/4 equals negative 4 times 1/2. Now I'm going to simplify this out. So I get 4x to the 2/3. The 4's cancel each other out, so I'm left with minus 3, and 2 goes into 4 twice, so 2 times 1 is 2. So I get a negative 2 over there. Again, I have to isolate x. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides. I get 4x raised to the 2/3 power, and that equals positive 3 minus 2, which is 1. Now, I have to divide both sides by 4 to get x to the 2/3 by itself. And when I do that, I get x to the 2/3 equals 1/4. Now, to get x by itself, I take the reciprocal of that fraction. So that's 3/2. And what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. Okay, so this says x equals. Now, the denominator is a 2, so I'm dealing with a square root. And this time around, I'm going to go ahead and do that first because I know that 1 will work out nice and so will 4. And then I'm going to take the answer and cube it. So this equals x equals the square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 4 is 2. So I'm going to take 1/2 and I'm going to cube it. So when I do that, I get x equals 1 cubed is 1 and 2 cubed is 8. So the answer is 1/8. Okay, so that one wasn't too bad. It looked bad, but it's not that bad. So let's look at 14. Now we have an absolute value we have to solve. So again, you're going to isolate the absolute value. So we start out with 5 times the absolute value of 1 minus 4x minus 15 equals 0. So the first thing I'm going to do is add 15 to both sides. So 5 times the absolute value of 1 minus 4x equals 15. Now I'm going to take and divide both sides by 5. So 5 divided by 5 will equal 1 times 1 minus 4x absolute value of, and 15 divided by 5 equals 3. Okay, so let me write that a little nicer. Okay, so I get the absolute value of 1 minus 4x equals 3. Okay? All right. So now I have to solve this. So inside the parentheses can be positive or negative. Okay? So I have two problems. I can leave it alone, 1 minus 4x equals 3, and solve. So negative 4x equals positive 2. Divide by negative 4 equals negative 1/2. Okay? I also have another problem. Negative inside the parentheses 1 minus 4x, that's set equal to 3. So when I distribute the negative, I get negative 1 plus 4x equals 3. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. 4x equals 4. X equals 4 over 4, which is 1. Okay? So remember, with the absolute values, you get two problems. You leave whatever's inside the absolute value alone and solve it. And then you do a negative version of that. Because remember, if I put a negative inside the absolute value, it'll work. And by the way, you can check to see if it works, right? If we plug in 1/2, half of 4 is 2. A negative times a negative is a positive. So 1 plus 2 equals 3. That works. Okay, absolute value is 3 is 3. If I plug in 1, 1 minus 4 times 1 is 1 minus 4, which is negative 3. Absolute value of negative 3 is a positive 3. So remember, with the absolute values, take the absolute value off, and then the other one has to be negative whatever's inside the absolute value. All right, I'm going to stop the video here, and then we'll pick up on 15 through 19. So that was questions number 12 through 14. Thanks for